Yeah, totally.
Sweet. All right.
I think this is also like my first game today, so I made kind of shoddy in terms of like mechanics and everything.
Yeah, I'm not too stressed about like mechanics. Usually when I'm talking through these sessions, it's like I'd never really talk about someone's aim, to be honest. I think that like giving people the advice of like aim better or, move better or like, they're very
Yeah.
difficult to do things. Is there any reason you didn't TP out of spawn here? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, because our Juno ulted immediately, or she used the speed ring immediately out the door, so I was like, I might as well save it so that we don't use both cooldowns.
I
But
think it's still worthwhile to overlap, even if they ring the spawn instead of ringing the exit of your TP. Like the speed boost carries on long enough that like you're still going to get benefit from that. I think this will just like leave
okay,
you not using the TP here right at the beginning. It just means that you're going to be a little bit later than they are if they did TP out of spawn. Whether or not everyone takes the TP is another story entirely. I think here, like off rip already, I've got something for you. You put these 3 turrets down and like a few things. Putting all of your turrets on top of each other like this is generally not good unless you're putting them through your teleporter. Because if you put them on top of each other like this, then straight away when someone goes to break them, they're going to break all of them at once. Turrets have a lot of health now. They're a real hassle to kill. So like if you wanted to set up a little car wash situation where, people are going to dive you in here and your turrets are going to fuck them, you want them spread out along the arch. You want them spread out so that they're not on top of one another, so that then it takes them way more time to break them. If you space them out, then their uptime is going to be way, way higher. But then the other thing, like not just about their position, but like where you're choosing to put them, I'm not going to say it's unlikely that someone is going to push you in here, because people can push you in here. But where you are right now, the point is over here. And you are very far back. So right here in this corner, if you get backed up to this corner right now, you can't see the point. You can't do anything in the fight anyway. They don't really need to force you out from this position ever. Maybe they need to force you out from like here. So if you're stepping up here, and honestly there isn't a great position for sim turrets here, maybe you could put them on this structure here and they would kind of zap off to the side. But this whole area is a little bit awkward for a car wash setup because you're really quite far away from where the fight is. Even if there was a big clash that happened in here, the chances that they're going to push into you and you get value from those turrets is quite low, in all honesty. Like you're probably better off in a first fight like this, either setting up a car wash that's a bit closer to the objective or doing what their sim's done, which is trying to jockey for position on the point and then put the turrets up on this side of the wall. You see how their sim's got them spaced out like here. Already this could be better. Like this one's on the floor. It's ridiculously easy to poke out. But again, like because their turrets are around the objective and yours are not, it's much more likely that your Zarya is going to walk up and get zapped by these turrets than anyone is going to walk into you and get zapped by this. Does that make sense?
yeah, totally.
Cool. And then here as well, like when you've used your TP, you've used it quite early, and maybe this is good in the sense that it's like you can poke and then you can come back to your safe little car wash zone. But you see how because all your turrets were on top of each other, they're all gone. Yeah, all 3 of them are gone because they were stacked together.
When you mentioned that, I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, then straight away it comes to fruition. But yeah, coming over here on the side and poking with your TP early on, not bad, but just be mindful that like you can literally step up like 2 steps and start poking from this corner and then give yourself a little bit more information before using the TP, I suppose. You've drawn a lot of aggro by doing this. Like everyone has actually come to fight you, but you can really you can step up and start poking from a safe angle and then TP away a little later, but you didn't really have any information when you put down the TP. And if you don't know where the enemy is, then there's, maybe not necessarily no reason to use the TP, but you're gambling. And as much as I love to gamble, it's best if you don't in Overwatch. Here, this room, a great place for a little car wash if you're zapping, right? Like you can put a couple of turrets up in here, you can poke from the side, someone comes to chase you, and look at that, 1, 2, 3 turrets on the door, they're getting microwaved inside the room, you backstep, and all is good in the world. But again, like it's a Koth first fight, you're not really expecting them to push you in here, over here. You're really expecting the fight to happen more around the objective. Yeah.
Okay,
But
and a
here,
little bit of theory is question would be, do you kind of focus like, I'm gonna say 80-20 on like being kind of defensive and waiting for them to push into you, or do you actually look for offensive like teleporters and stuff? Like
I think
what's the balance?
you always look for a good angle to poke people, especially like you're looking at the comp that they have right now. It's going to be really hard for you to charge up your left click and just be beaming down on people. Sometimes you'll verse a tank like a Malga or a Ram or maybe an Orisa, just something that is like a ground tank standing in main, and you have a really easy time charging up your left click. Like if you have a ground tank too, then you can kind of play just a little bit off to the side of your tank and hold left click in main, charge it up on their shield, charge it up on their tank, and you're just going to be beaming up in main. fine. But versus a comp like this, where everything is super mobile, you know, like you're never going to charge your left click on this guy. This person's going to be hopping around. They're going to fly. They're going to fly. They're going to fly. Everyone is so hard to charge left click on. Really, your focus becomes getting a good angle and just poking a lot with your right click, poking a lot with your right click. And because they have so much dive, you do have this good opportunity to poke off on the side and then pull people into your little car washes, right? So like even over here, poking on the right, just poking here. If you had a couple of turrets up here on the wall, someone comes to fight you out here, straight away they're getting zapped by your turrets. You can throw the turrets forward aggressively as well, which is really common in first fights. You know, like, again, like what their sim did here, where they threw a bunch of turrets up onto the wall of the objective. If you had come main, you could have done a similar thing. But yeah, I'd say that it's not so much about always needing to aggressively TP, but the way that the TP works that's so valuable is like you could start here, walk to this relatively safe position to poke, and then you could have a TP in the middle of the fight that takes you over to here or something like that. This is a little dangerous because you can get booped off and you can't take your TP anymore, but just as a rogue example, you could have the TP over to the side, which means that you're poking people over here on the right, and then you TP over here and you're shooting the people that are resting from your poke, resting from everything else. So it's a very pokey hero right now, especially in this matchup that you're in, where you're really trying to bait people in and just poke them, and give yourself conditions to either TP away or TP not onto players, but onto another poking angle, because it's so hard for you to charge left click. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, I like I said, new to Sim, definitely have no idea how to play against this team comp.
Yeah, I mean, this is a challenging comp to play Sim in, honestly. Like a very challenging comp, I'd say, because there is no target to charge your left click, because the Doom Slam will often give your turrets a little bit of difficulty if they're not high up on a wall, because when you try to do your TP plays, there's always this skill matchup taking place where the Doom can punch you on your TP, and then you're just dead in the water, right? Like if you're over here trying to poke on the side, like you do as I said, where, you know, you're poking here and you're poking here. If the Doom ever punches you, you're booped away from your TP, very reasonable chance that you're in a huge amount of trouble, right? So this is a super challenging matchup for you. I'd say that, you know, your team comp and their team comp, like neither sim is going to have a great time, but it'll be a little easier for their sim because at least you can charge stuff up on the Zarya and the Mei.
Yeah.
So here,
I noticed this game, which is why I switched after like 2 fights or 3 fights.
yeah. So here, like, again, the same mistake with the turrets on the wall. Don't stack them up. Put them a little higher so that then they're not on the ground, so they don't get caught by stuff like Doom Slam, and don't put them on top of each other ever. Because really, the only time you put them on top of each other, say you put 3 turrets on the ground, you put your TP down, the turrets get TP'd over, and then maybe there's a chance because you're giving someone a little bit of trouble in the back. But as you can see, like it looks like that's actually what their sim has done, unless I didn't even see her TP, to be honest. But yeah,
This sim was a ninja.
yeah, and then you TPing onto them like this, like it's a little bit too close to where their tank is, you know, like you're TPing right on top of where their tank is. Their sim, when she's TPing behind you, you see she TP'd onto your Ana, who was split up in main. So your TP like over here to the side to keep poking, maybe it'd be over here, like, you know, you're somewhere else towards the objective and you're TPing a little bit behind them, winding up somewhere like that where you're more of a nuisance. But you're actually not a nuisance TPing from here to here, because it's just where they're looking anyway. It's just where the fight is already happening.
Yeah.
Also, Sim is a major, another thing about this skill matchup that's awkward for you, Sim, with all the poke that you do, Sim is a major power punch feeder in this comp. Like, you will give their Doom so much power punch. Like, if you go Sombra versus this guy, you can really cuck him in so many ways. Like, it's really quite difficult for you to feed power punch to him unless you bugger up your virus, and you can cuck him by hacking him when he's blocking and stuff like that. You can get him stuck behind enemy lines, but really easy for you to feed power punch when you're poking like this. You've been bailed out though, and you actually do get left click value in the end because he messes up his skills. So here, all you really need to do, like, just keep poking from a good angle. So right here, you had a good angle. You TP'd over to the side. You were safe. You had something where you could see the point. You could shoot the point. Moira wasn't hiding from you. Just keep poking her right away. You don't have to, you know, superfluously TP back and forth and back and forth. If you have a good angle, you can keep it, you know, and then you TP away when it stops being good.
A very patient character.
Oh, for sure. It's like, if you rush on Sim, you just wind up getting yourself caught out. You know, you wind up TPing into players unnecessarily. You wind up getting caught out. But really, it's a poke character, as hard to believe as it is, especially in a matchup like this. The pokiness of it goes down a little bit as the enemy comp gets more ground tanky, but always the poke is solid on this character. So here now we're stepping up in main. There's literally nothing to be said about this. You got power punched. You're in a trade now. You're actually in an even situation, maybe an advantage one, because their doom has fed into your spawn. So now this is one of the situations where it's like you want to walk forward. Now that Moira's used fade, now there's an opportunity for you to maybe TP over to the side. You know, because you're so far away, because your Zarya is forward fighting. You know, maybe you put that TP over here. There's no threat of the boop, and then you have a good angle to poke point, poke point, poke point. Everyone starts looking at you. You TP back to safety. You've got 2 angles. But really just start charging up right clicks and shooting them out as quick as possible as well.
How often do you consider, like, I placed a TP here. I think I was trying to TP the Zarya because I was so sure they would die.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you even consider that versus just using TP to be poking at different off angles?
Oh, in my opinion, like sim TP in team play, like if you're doing this with your collegiate team and everyone's talking and everyone's trying to work together as a team and you're saying, I can TP you, then really good. Sim TP in ranked, you cannot trust your ranked teammates is the long and short of it. I'd say that, you know, you're very much playing a solo game until you're in a really high ranked lobby where everyone is hard comming and there's a lot of communication, because something like this, trying to TP the Zarya out, what are the chances that she knows that it's coming? What are the chances that they're listening to you and trying to work with you? There's so many factors at play. Like if you're talking in ranked and they're talking back, a play like this is good. You know, you can save that Zarya's life easy. But playing selfishly in ranked is probably your highest priority. You know, like if you want to get better as a player, you want to improve overall, like play selfishly. Play to carry the game yourself rather than trying to like save everyone with like team play intensive things, because team play in Masters ranked is almost non-existent.
Noted. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So here it's good. You've got yourself a good poke angle, but you're just like a little I don't know, like flustered, I suppose. But you can just keep poking from here. You can just keep poking from here non-stop. You can step up to the next block of cover, make your angle a little more aggressive, get yourself a bit closer for your next TP. And also, you had 3 turrets the whole time. As soon as you got that pick on the Doom, throw those 3 turrets across the map onto the point. Get those 3 turrets up on these walls, much like what their sim did in the first fight, because they have to touch point. You're up, they have to touch point. They don't have anyone that can conveniently clear them. So if you're just playing far away, throw a couple of turrets across the map. It doesn't take very long at all, and then suddenly their step onto point becomes a nightmare. Yeah, and that would have peeled for the Zarya too. Like that would have been something which doesn't require any team play, but if they try and push your Zarya, you are actually helping her, because it'll slow the enemy and it'll zap them on point. And their sim is a ninja from the looks of things.
Oh, their sim's a demon. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, you can see, I mean, their name is Simska. I feel like I know this player. I feel like I used to get this player in ranked like 5 years ago. I'm not sure if I'm delusional about this, but it's a very familiar name. Either way, there, like you were super up in the fight, and I can't skip backwards or it'll kill the, actually, I think I can skip backwards. Like early in the VOD, I can skip backwards. It's when we get to like the halfway point that it starts crashing the game. But yeah, here, you're super up in the fight. You're up like 5v1 essentially. So if you're in a position like this, really just try and play your life as much as possible. Like you don't have to like push in once you start getting low. Maybe you just want to try and run and hide and play your life. Here, like you're really tunneled on like killing the TP, but like your only priority at this point should just be like, I don't want to die. I have 60 health, we're 5v1. If I die here, it's a big mistake getting staggered. Like getting this late kill on her is a lot less valuable than you it's yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And
So
I guess my focus was like this sim TP just nuking my backline is the reason why we lose fights. I want to stop that ASAP.
reasonable.
Like my brain,
Yeah.
entire brain.
Once you're in a 5v5 situation, the chances of it happening are just a lot lower is the thing. Like it's much less likely that your backline is going to get nuked 5v1. So at that point, it does become a bit more of a play your life situation. Now you've got the 4 turrets perk. I see you're trying to like charge up your left click on the wall. Just be mindful, like when you're doing that, like you're swinging in front of their whole team. Like their wall is here, you're here. Like this wall only benefits them, not you. So like you walking out here, going for that on the wall, it's the right play fundamentally to get your left click charged up. But remember, again, like if your left click is charged and you don't have TP, you're probably about to have TP. You're just taking a little bit of unnecessary risk perhaps, because again, you can just kind of try to play for the poke as much as possible. But now like you have a Ray that's happening somewhere in their back. But again, like just, you know, you're kind of stuck at the back. You charged up your left click, but then you didn't TP with it. Like once you charged up your left click on that wall, the next step is to TP. If you have a fully torqued beam, TP behind, try and kill someone with that left click. But instead, because you played main, if you're just going to stay main anyway, you might as well have just been right click spamming the whole time, you know? If you charge up your left click, you want to throw down a TP into their backline, start going for something there. Save yourself a turret as well to put down on the TP, so that then it TPs through and it slows people on the way out.
Noted. Okay.
Yep. So now here, like you're going for the plays, you know, like TPs back and forth and such, but there's just like it hasn't quite clicked with you in terms of how it's supposed to feel, I suppose, like the pacing of it all. Like you don't understand the. Sometimes you're in the poke phase where you just want to be getting an angle, right clicking, right clicking, right clicking. Sometimes you're in that left click phase, and maybe you're trying to force that left click phase a little bit too much in this matchup from the looks of things.
Yeah, I'm struggling to figure out the kind of balance between everything, but that's why you practice, right? That's
Yeah.
what we talk about.
I'd say so. Here, this symbol is by far most powerful when you can put it down around the objective. Symbol is like not a guaranteed free flip of the point, but it's really, really valuable when you're trying to flip the cap or pressure the objective. By using symbol all the way back here in spawn, I see the reasoning, right? Like they're clocking you and they're fighting you in spawn. So you could potentially save lives here. But their clock is pretty much over. And all they have to do is walk backwards to completely counter out your symbol. Like, nothing is forcing them to keep fighting into the wall right now. So it's a very easy ult to disengage right now. The reason that it's so good on the objective is because if they disengage your wall on the objective, you get the cap. Yeah.
And the symbol does the exact thing for them that we wanted for us, which is they charge it for free. And then
They get a charged up beam and then they start beaming your Zarya or go into your backline, something like that. Hey, it still worked. It still got you a doom kill. Like, it's really not the end of the world. You know, like they were clocking you in spawn, they were pushing, someone did push into it. It's not the end of the world. The idea is there. You know, it's not like a completely thoughtless play that you're making. And it looks like, you know, their Sojin is taking some sort of like, they have a little voice in their ear whispering that they need to take the TP, and their Sojin's TPing into your spawn. Here again, with these turrets, same situation as what we had before. You're like 5v3 right now. What are the chances that somebody is pushing you in here? Throw them forward. Throw your turrets across the map to where people are going, or just get them on the point for the next fight. These little car washes are good if you expect to be pushed. If they have flankers, you know, they have a Genji, they have a Tracer, they have heroes that are going to try and dive with the Doom to catch you. But again, versus Doom, keep them off the ground, because the Slam is going to break these. The Slam is going to, or I don't know if it will break them now or if it'll just damage them, but either way, get them off the ground so that then the Slam cannot touch them. And this general position is really only good if you're trying to counter out a dive, and their dive doesn't exist. That's a non-issue though. You've broken it straight away. You're ready to go next with that one. And now, like, because you've set down your turrets once, you're not really thinking, oh, you haven't broken it. Actually, it's just on cooldown. That's how it works. Here, like, you're still playing very much for this car wash on the right, but the chances of it actually bearing fruit quite low. This TP, good concept, bad timing, I'd say. Like, what you want to do, be in a position to poke their walk on main. You know, the second they're walking up through main, maybe this inside right angle, not even as good as back of main, because you can watch them from quite far with back of main. So then you can do back of main, poking, and you will catch their entire walk up through main. And then again, once they're resting in these corners, then a TP from here to here, something like that, would actually be really valuable. You know, like from here to here, perhaps, because then you would be able to poke people out that are hiding on the wall. Does that check?
Yeah, and not just that, but a TP back there means if our supports get nuked, they can just TP.
They can run away as well, yeah. That's good. Because yeah, here your TP wasn't too bad. It was just the reason that I say that the timing wasn't good is because when you wound up TPing in, you were here and there's like 3 players staring you in the face, and you never really want that. You know, you never want to TP in front of people. If you're going to do that TP, you want them to be here. You want to be behind them. You want to be somewhere where they have to turn around to deal with you, where you're drawing aggro, but you actually don't draw very much aggro if you're just right in front of them, because they don't even have to move their mouse to deal with you. It's just already where they were looking.
Yeah, checks out.
Yeah. So a little bit more patience with the TPs, like side to side behind the enemy team, because really you can afford to poke them and pull them in, and poke them and pull them in, and then TP in the middle when the opportunity has presented itself a bit more. I don't think I need to repeat the sim turret feedback anymore. I think you've got the gist on that one. Here what you're doing...
Patience thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because again here, like this angle, it would be a good thing mid-fight, but at the very beginning, you know, from here to there, it's maybe a little bit rushed, you know? Just scout out where their rotation is, and then get yourself a good angle to poke it. Get yourself a good angle to poke it, and poke it, and poke it, and then put your TP down mid-fight to either go backline if you're talked up with the beam, or if you see someone isolated, or otherwise just do a little side-to-side TP so you can fight both sides, you know? You start here, you're poking them, they start pushing in, you TP over to the other side, and then you're hitting people that are inside here. Something like that. Just lots more patience with your sim would... Oh shit! One of your turrets got a kill. Where was he? Oh, perfect. Look, your car wash worked. It worked. See, this coach doesn't do anything.
They just didn't know. They don't look on the ground.
They're invisible or bordering on invisible. And then this is really good. What you just did right now, really, really good. Where it's like you're over on the side, you have the TP up mid-fight, a threat presents itself, you use the TP, you get away. Like, truly, job done. Like, a job well done at this point.
Okay.
And now, like, again, just poke and poke and poke and wait for your next turn. And this is good, you know, you're poking from a decent position to poke. You don't have TP, so you can't do anything aggressively. Someone tries to flank, you deal with it. Now your TP's up again, you've got a bit of beam, you TP behind. This is good. Turrets all around, good spread. They broke your TP this time, but the general concept was good. I think the only thing again is like, you know, when you TP'd in, a little bit of a dangerous position, you know, like you put yourself here, which means you have no cover. If you put yourself here, you've got a corner that you can play on. Generally, TPing out into the open is a dangerous thing, no matter what. You always want to try and put that TP close enough to a corner that you actually get some cover along with it. There would have been no difference between you putting a TP here and putting a TP here in terms of how difficult that would be for you. But it gives you a lot more options in terms of playing behind them and having a decision, do I need to run away or do I need to keep fighting?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So TPs, like, you know, you'll get the hang of it over time, you know, it's something that needs to be built up. Here there's a grav. A grav just came out and you're beaming a TP. Maybe you're trying to stop them from TPing up, but shoot the grav, for sure.
I was also thinking of charging my beam off of it.
You can charge your beam off the stationary
I can
players in the
charge
grav.
off my-
Yeah, the stationary players in the grav, they can take damage that's a bit more meaningful. So you can charge your beam one way or another, right? Now we're in last fight territory. They have to touch. You're TPing some turrets onto the player that was on the flank, putting down the symbol to stop yourself from getting traded.
I can't hit that guy.
You're very left click centric. Yeah,
I think
you're,
it's a May thing.
yeah, probably because May, like, you slow people down when you left click them and whatnot. There, for example, like, you know, the Venture's underground. She's burrowed underground. You can charge up a right click and hit her the second she comes out of the ground, you know? You can just have that right click pre-fired, ready for when she's coming out of the ground. But instead, like, you're not pre-charging the right click. You're trying to left click her on the way out. You can do so much more burst damage to her by just right clicking her. Like, for sure, your sim needs more right clicks involved. You need to start seeing the vision of the poke aspects of this character. And then, yeah, now that the enemy needs to touch as well, when you put your TPs down on the ground and you TP turrets over here, one thing to bear in mind, it's 99%, which means that if people have to touch, sim turrets on point are absurdly OP. You know, they don't have time to clear it because they have to come in and they have to rush onto the objective. So then your turrets are going to get max value. Another thing that you can do, if you've got a sim wall, just put your turrets on one side of the sim wall or both sides of the sim wall, because then often they wind up, this is when it's a time it's actually super acceptable to put turrets on the ground, because the turrets are unbreakable around the wall. You know, like, they have to juke through your wall to break the turrets. So on these walls where they have to recontest, good. On the floor on either side of your wall, also fantastic, because they can't break them or they're very, very awkward to break.
And better in overtime too, because if Doomfist commits a slam to breaking turrets on the floor, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's not going to get a good opportunity to do anything other than touch the point and break a turret or two.
Such a turbulent display.
Yeah, checks out.
Yeah. Oh, you won the round though. I mean,
We did, and then I swapped out Sim, and I feel like I should have just stayed Sim.
are you going to go to Sombra now?
I think so. I don't remember if I played Sombra or May.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I know I played May on third.
this next map can be a little bit awkward for Sombra just due to, like, this absence of health packs. It's I'd say that Sombra is best on maps where they don't have, like, a really good hit scan angle overall, because a map like Beach, it's a fantastic map for hit scan. Like, they're on Ash Mercy right now. Sombra's, like, core gameplay loop, a lot of it is relying on these health packs to kind of dip in and out of the fight so that you're not fully dependent on your team's resources, or being close to your team and playing like Sombra 76. Are you familiar with that term at all?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so-
Classic play with the tank strat.
Yeah, if you're playing like close enough to your tank and you're just shooting your gun all the time in main, you can get a lot done. But the problem here is that, like, it's really hard to play Sombra 76 on this map. Like, if they have a Mercy pocketed Ash at the back of the map and you're trying to play up here with your tank and just shoot your gun, you're just going to get your head ripped off. Like, you never get to your effective range. You don't have enough cover to play Sombra 76 here. Either you're on the ground in the open, taking a bunch of damage from their Ash, or you're up here getting dynamited and same situation. So I think this map, it's still good. It's still a good candidate map for Sim. It's a good candidate map for May as well, because the wall here is fantastic. Here is fantastic. Here, all really good. Really good May wall chokes, and May, Sim, both very much in the same camp, where, like, they are great poke heroes. They have really good mid to long range damage, so you can poke a lot. The market. Can you hear the marketplace of ideas next to me?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, okay. Well, they're speaking in Korean, so it's probably fortunate more than anything else. Hey, that VOD is good, or you learn nothing. Canale? 인정. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, he's so bad. Oh my god. You watch Suravasa Final Fight? Legend. Yeah, he have rally too, and he's flailing, half HP. Brain dead. Anyway, sorry. Don't let me distract from what you paid for. Yeah. So here, this car wash. Yeah, the car washes on this map are going to be really, really awkward, you know, because it's like with all of the heroes that they have, so much long range poke. Really, the only person you're ever going to be catching with this car wash stuff. Oh, I've got to move further away from these guys. The only way. Oh, only way you're going to catch anyone is like having the turrets up here and baiting people in. So really, I think that like on this map, you're probably going to wind up using the turrets a little bit more for like TPing onto people and catching them out that way, or TPing over to the side and setting up your turrets then. So if they try to push you when you're over on the side, you'll get something done. Here, when you started, you're just poking main, and that's totally reasonable. And then you just get outplayed by their Doom, to be honest. Like he comes for a slam here, he punches you off the side. Whether you're on the left or the right, that same thing can happen, right? Like you're here, you get punched off to the left. You're here, you get punched off to the coast. But the general concept at the start is fine, like just playing main and poking. Maybe it's okay to even be a block further back so that it's harder for the Doom to do that, but you don't want to be poking from so far away that you can't hit the shots anymore. So I think what you did at the start is okay. Just be very, very cautious that you're not on top of where your tank is, you're not on top of where your Torb is, because you never want to give them a big dynamite or a big slam. Really, you want to be spread out from everyone else. And you're not dead right now, so there's still a very real chance to carry. Here, like this is what I would say is probably like the worst TP that I've seen so far, in all honesty, because right now you were down here relatively safe. You could poke the point from here, and then from here you could put a TP down here, and then again it's that same concept of like you're poking from one angle, you're poking from another. You know, you've got an angle where you can shoot point right now. It ain't great, but if the Ashe starts peeking you top, you TP onto here, and now the Ashe can't see you anymore, and your Ana can see you. So like right here would be a sick position for Sim, because Ashe can't deal with you. You can poke their players on the point, and your Ana can heal you. So really, you get to do every job from down here. But TPing to this position right now, this is where everyone already is. Your Zarya is already up here. Your Juno is already up here. You're not going to get that angle. Yeah, but you don't want to be with your team. That's the trap. That's the trap.
Yeah, it's the bait.
Yeah, that's Sim.
Maybe.
How many times did we see Sim scale with his team? Or her team, you know, their team.
Like maybe once when he was walking out of spawn.
Yeah, the rollout. That's about it. But yeah, playing spatially separated from your team, OP on this character. Super OP. Oh, you got the perk where it heals you too. Like I forgot about this perk too. I'm not up to date on the Sim perks, to be honest. Like 4 turrets and a TP heals you. That's OP. Like you TP down here and you're dueling their Sim on your TP. Like you're getting pocketed by your TP. Like it's so valuable.
Crazy strong. Yeah. You see, I understand the value of it, but it's always like, how do you use it? You know?
We're learning. We're learning how.
Exactly. I don't know if anyone's told you this, but you're pretty smart, man.
I've never heard that before. You might be the first. I appreciate that. I certainly don't hear from my players, but you know, that's okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's totally not why you're like a professional Overwatch coach.
No, I just scam my way into jobs. As soon as I'm actually contracted, they realize the mistake they've made, but it's already too late for them.
Honestly, that's the great. That's what we all live for.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm a full-time grifter. Here it's the same TP, same turret problem. We don't need to repeat it too much. Just give yourself a good angle to poke. Down here would have been sick because the point fight's happening. Over here, like even side to side up here ain't all that bad, you know? Like you're on the left, you're on the right. You can bounce between the different bits of cover without needing to swing out into the open. So really, just you go.
I think I waste too much time and like brain power thinking of, oh, how do I like turret bomb this shit out of somebody?
Oh yeah, no, like that sort of stuff it's not dead, but it's super situational, you know, like it's really super situational going for the turret bombs. And if you want to do that stuff, you know, four turrets on the ground here and a TP over to the other side onto where their Ashe was, not a terrible thing. And it's like you don't even have to take the TP. We haven't even talked about the other side of this hero where it's like You can just use fake TPs and a turret to waste people's time while you do something else, you know? It's like when you're fully talked on Sim, maybe you've charged your beam up on their tank or on their Sim wall or something like that, you can put a TP behind them and then just keep walking main. And they're like, oh, there's a TP behind, I have to deal with that. And they start shooting the thing on the ground and you're stepping up on them in main. So here, like, what was that?
Which is what they did to me last round.
Exactly. They bait you with a TP and then all of your attention is spent on that. Here we're up on the high ground, but it feels like we've never really found ourselves a good position to be poking them hard. The one time that you did wind up TPing over here is all just too late. You know, the fight's already over. It's like a 3v5 at best. My ability to count is about as good as my ability to coach. So now we're on a different matchup there. We're on Sombra, and
This hard outplays me the entire time I do this.
you felt like you just couldn't find value on the Sombra?
Yeah.
Because here, this matchup right now, I think that your team is very like counter dive orientated. You know, you have a Torb, you have an Ana, you have a Zarya, like lots of heroes where if they go for their dive with the Doomfist, they're gonna struggle. But you on Sombra, like you're never gonna be able to find a dive on their backline, you know? Like because there's nobody to follow up with you at all, you pretty much just have to try and play like the Sombra 76, outplay the Doom game. Because if you try to go backline, maybe there's going to be a turret back there. They're going to be able to double pocket each other. Like there's not going to be a lot of follow up for you. You do have to play very front to back. But this is where like, you know, you wanting to have a wider hero pool is valuable, right? Because a map like this, a matchup like this, where you have no divers, you know, you have a ground tank, you have a Torb, there's just nothing to follow up with you. Like this is where it's helpful to not be on Sombra, right? Because Sombra's good into their sim wall, but really, really bad into their Mercy Ashe playing super far away. So we'll see how it plays. Over here on the side, looking for an angle. Again, like if you go behind a lot, it's actually quite unlikely that you're going to have high uptime. The way that you've come behind here, it's really quite difficult for you to ever find a kill doing this, because nobody's going to be able to follow up on anything that you hack that's deep, and you're not going to be able to receive any healing too. So like you can go like hack, virus, get someone pretty low, but where's the finishing blow for your team? And anyone even sneezes at you, and you have to use your TP and run away. Like there's no health pack for you to play off. There's really nothing to keep you alive right now. So this was a situation where it's like you hacked up their Doom. You made him run away. Keep stepping up with your tank, you know, keep trying to shoot your gun as much as possible. Sombra 76 is hard in this matchup. You're versus Mercy Ashe, but it's not impossible. And you got that opening. Another thing, you came out on this flank, you can break the sim turrets for your team. You know, if you are here, you can make the best of a bad situation, a bad decision, by coming here and breaking these sim turrets. So then your push into the room is a little bit better for the team.
They would have made it like I would have gotten some value out of the flank.
Exactly. It's not like you did nothing, you know, like you did hack. I think you hit the virus as well. Like you got 30% off. You've done something. It's just quite unlikely that a kill is coming. And those turrets do need clearing. Someone has to do that eventually. Now again, like you're posturing very much for this flank. You're walking past those sim turrets as well. You find a kill. You find a kill on their sim. She was doing some back and forth, and you do find that kill. You see the Ashe low health through the wall as well. Maybe like now you're in a good condition to actually come around, maybe find a kill on that. You find their Mercy here too. Like you can solo kill this player when you have the TP, but you didn't find the Mercy. You're maybe a little bit too focused on getting behind them and flanking. You're not thinking enough about like you've already gotten behind and flanked. You know, you're here, you have TP, you have full health, you see a low health player through the wall, that's your next target. You couldn't even see the Mercy because you weren't looking there, but at the end of the day, like you've got to kill someone else. Like you have gotten a kill, they have a Mercy, they have someone low through the wall. Like just keep fighting, you know, keep fighting or clear the turrets, anything. But the way that you've lost your turn here by running away and TPing to get further behind them, just no value to come from that. Yeah, you regroup with your team in main, but perhaps the damage is done at this point, because you know they're just going to get to push back into you with their ults. And here you get punched by their Doom in main. This was like, I think you were trying to hack the Doom and you hacked the pack instead. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you weren't trying to hack the pack there. I really thought you were hacking the Doom. But yeah. But
I have a sunk cost philosophy with hack where if I try it and I get halfway done, I'm just going to do it.
you might as well send it at that point. You know, forget about cancelling the hack on the pack. But yeah, the mistakes had already come earlier where it's like you... Okay, so really, like, if you've got that position behind, make the best of a bad situation, you know? Poke people from behind, finish kills, be a nuisance, and then TP away.
I think my thought process there was a little bit of like, okay, I got the sim. Their entire team is probably going to turn and look at me. I don't want to fight like 4 people at once. But I think like you were saying, it's more about being annoying and then regrouping with our team as aggressively as possible. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you have like options in either direction, right? Like you can go behind, be annoying, and then throw your TP off to the side and get away when they actually start to come and fight you. Or you can TP back to your team, you can get healed up, you can get Zarya bubbled. Like there's a lot that you can do, but not if you TP away too early. Not if you're too focused on like I'm gonna get behind them, I'm gonna get behind them. You know, just uptime is important. Shooting your gun is important. And like how much did we actually shoot our gun this round? Not enough. Even yeah, like when Sombra could go perma stealth before, like it was an even bigger problem with Sombra players, where it's like because she was perma stealth, so many Sombra players would spend like 25 seconds setting up to shoot their gun for 2 seconds and then TP out again. Like just massive loss of uptime. That's why like the Sombra 76 playstyle is so dominant in the sense that it's like you can't carry on this character if you don't at least shoot the gun half of the time that you're alive.
for sure.
Here, you're over on the side, you found the Doom, you're pinging the Doom. Just going for like a little duel on him is pretty reasonable. Looks like he has the perk that just ate your E, which is a little bit unfortunate. It can be quite hard to get that hack off. Like you were staring him face to face and you were invis. You probably want to try and change your position around him just a little bit. I cannot skip backwards anymore. I'm absolutely certain that I will get logged out if I press the back button. But like you were invis here. I think you had a couple of seconds left on your invis. Come over to the side of him, and then when you go for that manual hack on him, he's not going to be nearly as likely to cancel your hack because in that situation, he has to turn his mouse and actually hit a shot on you. If he's already looking at you when you try to hack him, what are the chances that hack goes off? Much, much lower. So put yourself beside the players or behind the players that you're trying to hack. In this instance, behind is a little bit of a pipe dream, but beside, I think you could have managed.
And I would have had cover.
And cover helps too. Cover certainly helps you continue to shoot your gun. See, now he's blocking your main, you go for it. There was no situation for you to get beside him there, so totally reasonable for you to go for that. And he was blocking too, so like, that's totally reasonable one there from you. And then you get caught out here. This is like, just blame your honor. Just blame your honor. This one was fine. You picked up in main, you came back to cover, Doom chased you and killed you. So this scene, I won't be too critical. And now we're on Mei.
Yeah. I was like, Sombra isn't working. I can't figure out how to get value. I'm gonna try and just wall TP, kill Sim when she's in our backline.
I think like wall TP is awkward at times, but like you can wall lots of players on their team. So like it's not all just about the Sim. Like you can also wall their Doom, right? Like if he shifts in and you wall up, he can't punch out anymore. Like you can catch multiple players out. So I think this is a good swap for sure. It's maybe worth noting that I feel like on every map you've wound up swapping to a character where it's like when you went Sombra on Beach, that was probably like the most awkward of the 3 maps to play Sombra. This one here, Mei is good, so there's not a problem, but this is also probably the best Sombra map of the 3 too, because there's so much cover and so many different side angles that you can take where you can really be quite disruptive, get in and out of the fight super easily. Like the setup is not long-winded, it's really close, and their Ashe angles are not great on this map. So like Sombra for sure could have worked on this map too, but here we are now, you wall the Sim, the theory works. The theory works.
But we still got there.
Yeah, no, I mean, forget mechanics. You know, there's they come and go with the wind. Depends on how many hours a day you spend sitting at the computer, I suppose.
That's true.
Yeah.
At least, like you said, theory worked.
Yeah, I mean, you can always improve the theory. You can make yourself smarter, and the chances that you wind up becoming dumber at the game over time, you know, you have to wait for a few patch cycles, or maybe you have like memory loss. But the mechanics, you know, if you stop playing for a while, your aim just gets worse and worse. There's not a lot you can do about that other than playing the game more. But you know, thinking about how you play the game, that lasts. I don't want to say a lifetime, but that lasts a lot longer.
Yeah, I definitely don't think like at all about like map theory in what characters to play in maps. I'm just like, okay, this is annoying. I can interact with this character by doing this thing. And
I
that's like the
think
end.
with your hero pool, it's really important that you consider some of that stuff because your hero pool is like really tricky. But for example, Mei, like really important that when you're picking Mei, it's on these maps where the wall chokes are good, you know? Like going for Mei on this map, quite good because here, up here, like all excellent wall chokes, right? And then, you know, considering like where a hero pick might be bad, like Sombra on Beach, where because the angles are really, really long and it's really, really difficult for you to play Sombra 76 or for you to even set up to go backline, because of those factors, like it's just not a good Sombra map. So like if you want to be rotating between these heroes to try and deal with different problems, it's important that you engage with that map theory a little bit to think like, can I carry on Mei here? Am I going to have difficulty on Sombra here? Stuff like that. this was really good. The start of this fight from you was very, very good. Where you were playing main, poking, and then you sim wall and counter out their Doom's dive. One thing that you can do on Mei, you said on Beach that you thought maybe when you're on Mei it would be good for you to be with the team. But honestly, like, Overwatch is an angles game. Overwatch is always an angles game. Over here, you were stacked with your team. Their Doom got a massive slam and a massive punch because everyone was playing together. And if they want to step up through this stretch and every single player of your team is on the right, they don't take any poke walking along the left, right? Like, there is no angle to shoot people in main if everybody is on this side. You're Mei. You're incredibly survivable and you have good mid to long range poke. If you started spatially separated on the left-hand side here, you should always be looking to have a subtle off angle on Mei to be spatially separate from your team. Because if people come to duel you, you have two different tools to keep you alive. You can wall for yourself and you can block for yourself. So here, if you took a different angle to the rest of your team, it would have been much more pressure on their walk in main. These people would have had a lot more difficulty stepping up to the plate. And you can still hit that exact same wall to counter out their Doom, to counter out their sim. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I get full support the exact same amount.
Exactly. Now, this is good. Could be like a little bit of an ult difference in this fight, in the sense that it's like they've just sim-walled and taken the entire map. They've used Cole, they've used Doom ult, they've used sim-wall. Like, there is just a huge ult diff in this fight. I think that, like, in the mid fight, there's not a lot of feedback for you, to be honest. Really, the biggest improvement, it's like, just don't be on your team. Be off to the side. Like, if there's a chance to be poking from the left angle when there's 4 people poking from the right, take that chance. Like, you are always safe to do that on this hero. Like, really, you can off angle so much on Mei. Like, really safely too. Next fight's coming up. Their ults are not good. Your ults are pretty good. You have a reasonable chance here. You can play main with your team for the retake. Look for a counter wall, something like that.
Can't remember if I get domed by Ash.
Oh yeah, I mean, when their Ash was peeking you on the side, I was thinking, like, you probably don't want to wall her off and push main, but like, if you walled off their Ash over here on the side and just started walking up in main, she would lose her turn for quite some time. Like, it takes her a little bit of time to rotate all the way back around here to main, but it takes you about as much time to walk up through main as well, so it probably wouldn't be a very high value wall. You're probably better off saving it a little more to try and counter something out. That being said, their Doom has now come into your backline, gotten a kill, gotten his power punch, gotten out, so it's important that, you're not being too conservative with your cooldowns. If you're always waiting for the perfect wall and the perfect opportunity, you'll miss opportunities elsewhere. So like there, when the Ash was poking you on the side and it was making you walk really hard, you could just wall her off, keep walking, get towards the objective and start taking the ult fight. It's really hard to take the ult fight when you're not on the point with a lot of these ults, like Torb ult, stuff like that. Nano, with a comp where nothing can push, really you're reliant on them coming into you or you getting on the point to force the fight. What you've done right here is excellent, where you've actually backed up and then come off to an off angle again, where it's like here, you've got a juicy angle to shoot their Ash in the side of the head. It's hard for them to force you out. You can push in, you can wall off a side, like you can wall over here and keep pushing the left. You can do so much from up here. You actually have a really good position to carry the game. Yeah, this is good in theory. Maybe there's a mechanical deficit, but you come back through main right now, and it's like, don't even know if it's necessary, to be honest. Maybe you just want to kite back because like they're using Bob and stuff. But honestly, like you were up here, you had wall, you had block. Like you can just throw up a wall in their main to block off some of their healing, block off something, and keep fighting from that position. Like look at your health right now. You're perfectly safe. You didn't have block actually. You're coming back because you don't have block. This is reasonable.
And I think Anna dying like earlier made me kind of cautious.
I think don't think too much about being like the peeliest player. I think there's a trap that you can fall into where it's like if you're trying too much to help your teammates on DPS in ranked, you wind up not putting yourself in positions to carry the game. If you're always thinking like, how can I save you? How can I save you? Like you're on DPS, like your role is less how can I save you and more how can I kill them? It's really more about putting yourself in a position to carry the game rather than to save other people so they can carry you.
That makes sense.
Closing in on a Blizzard turn now. Again, you've shut down their sim with what she's doing. You've got another wall. At this point, the sim is dead. So forget about this turret. You're not charging anything up right now. Start fighting in main. The fight is really happening in main right now. So turning around and wasting your time left-clicking this, like all of this time that you spent left-clicking here could have been time spent walking up in main, getting ready for your next wall, poking right-clicks off them. Like this Mercy could just be dead. This Mercy could already just be dead if you were just watching main and poking. But now you're just tunneled on a TP that does nothing. You're wasting your ammo on a TP that nobody can ever use. Shoot the Mercy when she's rezzing. Here, their Doom just used a couple of skills. You can throw out your ult now. Careful that you don't left click him when he's in that, because you might feed him power punch and then let him punch out. Like if you're left clicking him while he's in the blizzard like that, unless the perk makes him freeze faster. I'm not sure about that, but I don't think left clicking people inside your blizzard freezes them faster anymore. So be very very careful about doing that left click on him, because it can feed him power punch and then he can get out, which I think is what he did actually.
They tried to eat him powered, so he like gets hit by Rizzle.
Right. And now he's meteor striking. You've got your wall up pre in order to try and block it off. That's very good. Wall actually saves the day with the punch as well. So I think this mid fight has been quite good, like really quite solid. And you're poking a lot, which is good. You just got to get into the habit of doing that in your neutrals and in your pre-fights. Playing in positions where you can get better poke. Again, breaking TPs like this, no purpose, you know? Like, nobody's using that shit. You don't just have to break the TP. Like, you're better off shooting main, charging ult, maybe getting a pick. If there's a useless TP, forget about it. Now you have a good angle to poke them in main as well. Like, you've done a good job now where it's like you can actually watch their cross through main. Okay, that is alpha. That is outrageously alpha. You're walling off the TP, which is reasonable, but maybe you'd be better off walling off the Doom at this point. Like, the Doom has already come through the TP, done that, used his turn, like he used his punch. At that point, it's like, try and wall off the Doom, try and wall off their team in main. If they all TP in on like this, then your Ana's going to get a 5-man nade on them. You're going to get a lot of left-click cleave on them. This is no longer a threat, but you're very tunneled on, like, this TP is a problem, but once they've already used it, it's not so much of a problem anymore. You can block multiple things with the wall. You can block their Doom's escape. You can cut off their team's sight line so that the Doom is fighting 5v1. Don't get too caught up with these TPs.
So I've got a question for you a little bit. Is TP in like fighting sim a little bit like the devil you know versus the one you don't, where it's like because you know that the TP has been used and you know where it's at, it's like no longer really a threat?
I'd say very much like if you feel like you can just walk away from that TP and put yourself in a position where it's like you're not going to get rolled by someone coming through it, then it's no longer a problem, right? Like if you know where that TP is, you know that you can be fighting in main and line of sighting the TP, you don't need to waste your time on it. Any time that you spend shooting a TP is time that could have been spent trying to shoot players, and always damage on players is going to be more valuable than damage on a TP. You need to have knowledge of where that TP is, because that's really important. That's where someone could appear, especially if you don't know where both ends of the TP are. But really, like, it's more about out-positioning those TPs than it is about breaking them, because breaking them is a real time sink. It's a real time sink, and it's a resource sink too. Like, you're using your symbol, your Mei walls on it, right? And then, like, at the end of the day, you Mei walled this TP, and now she's finally come through it later. Like, you could have just used your wall off in main, got the Doom caught out in the middle of the point, and then this res becomes impossible for them because he doesn't die somewhere safe. So really, like, less about putting damage in the TPs, more about just like having the information of where it is and adjusting your position based on that. Here you come. Oh, I turned up the sound a bit. That's too loud. But yeah, what you did here is good. You push over to the side. You fight out the Sojin. Here, like, maybe there's a certainly missed opportunity for you to try and stall. Like, before you even use your block, if you can use your wall as a block, you know, throw up your sim wall here. Block them off, stand, stall, conserve your block. They break the wall, they get you low, then you use your block and you're stalling it out, and maybe you can win. You're not going to win, but maybe, you know, just as a general habit. Like, yeah, in theory, it would happen. It did not happen here, but the theory exists.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've got a few pointers for like each hero at this point. With these heroes, and I suppose like the major ones are across the board, like across your hero pool. Like you want to engage in the map theory as much as possible. You really want to have this like deep understanding of where is my hero good, where is my hero not good. If you feel like you understand how Sombra wants to play, think like it's a big long map, big open sight lines. It's gonna be really hard for me to set up. Again, like on beach, Sombra could be okay if you had a really divey comp. You know, like you've got someone playing Winston or Ball, and you can go backline with them. It's like you've got Ball or Winston, Sombra, Tracer. Sombra's fine then, right? Because the long angles don't matter, because you're going to be closing that gap anyway. But if you have a Zarya and they're on the ground, and you have a Torb, and you have all these heroes that are just going to play back and poke, play something that can also play back and poke. Stick the sim, play the Mei, hit some counter walls, know what maps Mei is good on, because any map where there's lots of tight chokes, lots of things like this, Mei can always find value. Engaging in that map theory is super important. On Mei, like pre-fights, trying to put yourself in positions where you have good poke angles. This applies to sim as well. I think sim and Mei are really like good complementary Symmetra heroes in terms of the skills that you need to learn, because it teaches you a lot about like these subtle off angles, taking little side angles where you draw a little bit of aggro, people jump over to you, and then either you're using your block to keep yourself alive, or you're using your TP to put yourself over to another useful angle. It really applies to both of these heroes. Then on the sim as well, using the wall like on objective rather than trying to force it off objective, just because the walls on point are incredibly broken. Turret stuff, where you're not putting them all in one place so they all get broken at once, spreading them out more, and thinking like, if the enemy team isn't hard diving me, if they're not playing like Genjis and Tracers and all these heroes that are going deep, maybe thinking more about like deep turret positions, throwing them to the back walls of objectives and stuff like that, so people step up and they start getting zapped and they need to clear that, rather than just always making a super safe car wash for yourself. Like if you were on this map, I feel you would have, if you were sim on this map, I feel you would have found a way to put a bunch of turrets over here, or put a bunch of turrets in like somewhere that's just too far away and not likely to happen. Whereas, you know, over here, like you could have sim up here and you could have turrets on this wall, and then you could poke point and they push you out, and bang, they're getting car washed a little bit. Like there's opportunity everywhere. Would you like to watch the Junkertown code, or would you like to watch this AZ V1?
Let's do. Wait, I'm gonna double check which one the Junkertown clip is.
I think the first one is.
Yeah, I think the first one is. Let's do the Junkertown one.
Okay.
It's also a short game, so I feel like it's more
Easy.
worth it.
I'll restart my screen share because I don't want to leak every scrim code in the world. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. I see. I understand a little. Well, I guess I should rephrase that a little bit about the map theory thing. Is that like I kind of understand it, you know? Like I get Maywall spots, things that are important like that, and like health packs being close by, that kind of thing, very important. Like I enjoy Junkertown first, for example, on Sombra because of the Giga Megas. But I guess I should say it's like secondary to like team in like hero interaction for me. But I feel like it's actually like a 50-50 on both.
Yeah, there's a real balance that you need to strike, and like I think on no point would Sombra be impossible, but then like you don't just need to engage with the map theory, you also need the comp theory component too, where it's like what is going to enable you, what is going to work with you. Like how on Beach, if you had a bunch of dive characters, Sombra would have been super fine. Whereas, you know, even I think same principle applies here very much on Junkertown first, where it's like there are these really long angles along here where it's like their team, if they have like a Widow, or if they have like an Ashe that's pocketed playing up the back or playing up on the high ground or something like that, Sombra really struggles in these big open stretches. Like you can play Sombra 76 down here, you can fight card a lot, you can play off these megas a little bit, but it can be very difficult to get an impactful angle unless someone can dive with you. So if you have like a very slow comp, like you've got, you know, like you've got this guy on Roadhog, stuff like that. If that's the case, then like Sombra can struggle a little bit too, because if they have hit scan, they have long angles, like they have Zen as well, another character that plays these long angles very well. He'll play far away and he'll poke you. It can be really hard for you to find your opening. But if you have dive characters, that opening presents itself all the time, because all you have to do is flank and set up, and then someone can come and get a kill with you. I have no feedback for this. I think maybe you checked your phone.
Skill gapped.
Yeah.
I sort of get skill gapped.
Yeah. Now what you're doing here, like you're playing against the ball, and playing Sombra against the ball is fantastic because you can shut him out so much. You can hack up the megas, which makes it really difficult for him to play the game, and you can play close to your team quite a lot. Your team can just keep on pushing the cart, and then when they need to contest the cart touch, you can always be there to be a nuisance to the ball, to hack out his slam. There's no need for you to set up backline in this matchup because they have a ball, and that means that you have a purpose. You have megas and minis that you can hack to deny him, and you have a player that you can constantly shut down the value for. Here you're going deep for something of a dive play.
Time going deep too is definitely what I'm noticing.
Yeah, here you're in the back, but position like this, you start taking damage. Think about the downtime. Think about how much time you're going to lose. You're playing versus a Torb as well, which means that if you wind up behind and the turret starts shooting you out, you're fighting 6v1 instead of 5v1. You know, they have the 6th man right now. So right now, like you could be playing a lot around enabling the car push, shutting down the ball. Like you take this mega away from that ball, half of all of his healing is gone. You know, like his supports are on Zembrig. He doesn't get any healing. You take this away, so much of what he wants to do is done. And he wants to go for these slams on your team on cart. You can just keep pushing cart, fuck up his life. You go backline like this, look at your comp right now. Who's coming with you? Maybe the Genji's coming with you on a good day. Maybe the Kiri's coming with you on a good day. Maybe Kiri could TP to you. You know, if there's a team play aspect, Kiri TPs to you, and then you and Kiri together are a real nuisance behind, and you can be pocketed out. But right now, if you get shot, you have to go all the way to this mega. You have to take so much time out of your day. And if you take all that time out of your day, your team is going to be fighting 5v4 or, 6v4, depending on how we count the turret as a player.
I think it counts.
Yeah, I think the turret matters. But yeah, you see now, here's that situation where it's like you got shot a little bit, and you've just got this big period of downtime. Now you're going to poke out the turret, but it's like a 1v1, like he takes a bit of your health. But it is kind of working for you, to be honest. Like your team is still winning in main. This is bad, though. This moment, yeah, this moment is really, really bad, because honestly, like from where you were, you could have just played over to the side. This is one thing that Sombra players, they often struggle with, is understanding like when they want to come out of stealth, when they want to start shooting. You come here to try and get behind the Zen, but there's a player behind you, there's a player beside you. If you were in this corner right here and you're shooting the Torb, something like that, only one player can peek you and he's not looking at you. It's really about minimizing the angles that the enemy team has on you when you're coming out of stealth. Right now, you are in the thick of it. There's 3 players that can turn their heads and shoot you. Whereas over here, only one player can turn their head to shoot you. Maybe somewhere over here as well, it's only 2, right? Like you can just use more cover and minimize the angles. Like it's really important when you're coming out of stealth that you have cover to play around. And right here, you have the antithesis of cover. You have like what feels like it's about to be a death.
Oh, I think I die here, like guaranteed.
Yeah, for sure. So you got your kill on the Zen, but you're traded. And we never want to get traded.
Yeah. Especially when they have a ball, and that's my job.
Yeah, I mean, you could be shutting down the ball, you could be pressing the advantage on that backline. Like, you don't always have to camp the ball, right? Like, you don't just have one job. Overwatch is very dynamic. Your job is always changing. But they're really, like, the generally applicable feedback that will apply to every scenario is, like, make sure that you've got yourself a piece of cover when you're coming out of stealth, or at the very least, if you're 1v1ing someone, that you're beside them so they have to turn their head, and just making sure that it's as hard as possible for them to shoot you when you come out of stealth. If you are in stealth, locking eyes with someone, and you're coming out of stealth, they're going to shoot you in the face. Like, they are going to shoot you in the face. They're already looking there. Make them work for it.
I think that logic applies.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Here, like, when you were in stealth, like, you could have just kept moving, like, you were waiting around on the side a little bit. It's patience, but perhaps no purpose on that patience. You can just get over to the side right away.
I guess I'm waiting for my cooldowns, is what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I mean, you're invisible, right? So like your E is going to come back at the same rate no matter what. Like you can take that time to be active, stay active on the map at least. Now here you've got yourself a 1-player advantage again. You can kind of keep pressing on up. Keep trying to play that Sombra 76 game, because if your team starts tapping the cart, they will have to swing onto you. But yeah, now going invisible, getting around on the side, this is good. You need to get healed up a little bit. Like, doing this when you're 100 health doesn't work, right? Like, you TP up top, you're invisible here, you can stand here, get orbed, get packed, something like that. Oh, it's not packed, but I guess Kiriko healed, and then press forward. But right now you're pressing forward on 100 health. So what are the chances that you're going to come out of stealth and die again because you're 100 health when you're going for this next engagement? Like, you're adding a very unnecessary level of risk right now, because you're already in a 5 versus 4. The fight isn't won, but you're in the process of winning it slowly, and that means that you need to be patient. You actually are being patient. You go over to the mega, you take the mega.
Much better.
You don't always have to do that, though, because you could have done both, right? Like, you could have received healing from your supports and set up to maybe pressure their Zen a little more, something like that.
Yeah. Or like, maybe help Genji.
Yep. Here again, like, the way that you're leaning into this engagement, look, you're coming towards the cart. That's where they're going to be staring. If you're coming out of stealth on the cart, that's where everyone is looking. If you were invisible and you started flanking over to this left-hand side, look, you've got yourself a position where maybe 1-2 players only can see you. Your supports can see you over here. You have cover to block people on the right. You can hack or virus someone over on the left, and you can be really safe because you can just hide behind this cover. You can be invisible from both sides. So really, like, trying to lean away from the main side, be off subtly to the side, is super valuable. There's a ball here. This was good. This was good. You sat here in the corner, cut off the angle from all of these players, and you tried to hack the ball. He gets away, but the fundamental principle there is good. That's what you should have tried to apply in the previous. But you're having a pretty rough time with it in terms of ever finding that opening, because time and time again, it feels like you're losing your turn. You're trying to do something aggressive, but you're getting shot out in the process. So because of that, you lose your turn quite frequently. You sometimes need to pick a side a little bit. It's like, am I going to kind of play back and try and camp the ball, or am I going to go forward and get myself in a nice little corner where they can't shoot me and try and pressure one player? But if you're coming out of stealth, up in main, up in the open, like, you can't play Sombra 76 versus their comp. You can't, because they're all playing far away and they have heaps of long range poke. They have a Torb. You're going to get shot by Soldier, by Zen, by Torb, all these characters in the mid to long range. You're going to get cooked. Hack out the Mega again. This is good. You're really closing on an EMP turn right now. So at this stage, try and charge up that EMP a little bit and then play for that. You saw that they used Trank already, so the biggest tool to shut you out has been taken away. All you need to do now, get yourself 7% of your ult, and then you can set up, get behind, get on top of players, get a big EMP. But going behind on the flank right now, before you have that EMP, potential recipe for disaster, maybe it's just going to work out. Maybe you're just going to kill this Zen. But yeah, maybe the better fundamental play there would have been, you know, slow things down a little bit. Again, it's like we've got ourselves a pick, we've got ourselves an advantage. Like who died? What is that? The soldier's already dead. We're in a 5v4. Just get the ult and then set up for your EMP afterwards. You set up for a kill here, but it's a very committal play because you're coming into a small little room versus a brig. Once you killed the Zen, you tried to go back in stealth, keeping yourself in the fight, but already I think you're like half HP from dueling the Zen. Maybe just TP away, keep playing your life. You made a 5v4, you made a 5v3. Don't make it a 4v3. Slowing things down when you have the advantage, when you're already in a 5 versus 4 situation, is really important. And this isn't a Sombra specific thing, it's the whole game. Is when you have that player advantage, just chill.
It seems like I have a big patience issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to be patient, to be honest, at times. Like, there's always stuff happening in the game. People are always running around the map. It's easy to feel pressure to do something. But once you have player advantages, really, you can't afford to take that second to think. Like, I don't need to keep doing stuff all the time. Uptime is really important, but not at the cost of your life.
Especially if I have, like, EMP and closing in on ultimate something with the team.
Exactly, you can just win the fight with your ult by playing slow, so you don't always have to play it fast. Looks like all's good in the world now, though.
Maybe.
Pick a mine. Pick a mine. Just you're scattergunning the mines, but if you're going to clear mines, clear them one at a time. You're in here, you're trying to hack out this ball a little bit more, camp him out. He's going to get hog ulted off the map just about. What I'm feeling here, I would love to skip here. I think I'm going to skip here. I'm going to press the button and see if it logs me out. Oh, okay, I will restart the screen share and do it again because, you know, I need to watch that fight again. I need to talk about that fight again because what was happening there is you were getting too caught up in this idea that you need to hack out the ball, that you need to make things difficult for the ball. And as a result, like, you had this huge player advantage and you had a real situation where it's like you can just play underneath and keep on shooting your gun, have really high uptime where you're just dealing damage. Like, you don't always need to tunnel on getting the hack, right? You can hack the ball from out of stealth. You can be shooting your gun, he can start dealing with someone else, and then you can hack him up again. But what was happening there is because you just kept shooting, kept fighting, or kept going in stealth, you wasted 10-15 seconds of time that could have been spent shooting your gun, just getting invis for setup that didn't need to be happening. You were already super advantaged in the fight. If you're advantaged, you don't need to go invisible and set up for another hack kill. You just need to shoot your gun. If you're in a 5v3, there's no need to go invisible anymore. Like, you don't need to set up on anyone. So let me try and get on this. I think it was at about 410, 411. All right, we made it. We're here. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
Game capture's back on. Screen share's back on. Screen share working all good?
So, I need to have more appreciation for the value of just sitting behind a team and spraying.
I mean, just sitting in the fight and spraying, really. Like, just do a quick head count on the number of players alive in this fight right now. Like, your team has 1, 2, 3, 4. Their team has 2. One of them is completely AFK up here. So if you just line of sight this guy and play to keep pushing and shooting cart, like literally if you're standing right here on the edge of cart, the Zen can't see you. And if you were out of stealth, pushing cart right now, all you need to do is just keep pushing it and they can't do anything. It's still a 5v2. Their whole team is in spawn right now, yeah? I think it's easier to articulate this from top down at this point. But right now, we're in a 4v2. Start touching the cart. Keep shooting your gun. Stop trying to get invisible to hack out on this guy. Just keep pressuring the cart, shooting your gun. This guy cannot live if you just keep shooting him. He has to come in and touch the cart right now, otherwise they're going to lose the game. But you keep going for setup, Think about the cart. Think about how if you push this like 8 meters, the point is over. Your job is already done. But because you keep tunneling in on this idea of like, I need to go in stealth and hack the ball, you're missing this huge opportunity to just deal damage and cap the point.
If you're hoping to win, now's the time.
It
Now we're
also seems
here.
like, in my experience, a lot of like the Tracer slash Sombra players in escort maps are generally the ones that push the cart for the team.
I think it's awkward for Sombra to do it in a lot of situations. Tracer, absolutely yes. Sombra, it's a lot more difficult because you don't have these blinks to juke around on the cart, you know? Like, if you're here on Tracer and you see someone up top, you can blink over here and they can't see you anymore. Whereas if you're on Sombra, you have to use your E to do that, and then you can't push cart anymore. You've lost your turn for 6 seconds. So Tracer has like this really high period of uptime. The times when Sombra is good for it, it's like back cap scenarios. You know, say you're at the end of second and they're all up here, and you throw your TP over the wall and you're invisible and the cart's right here. Then you come out of stealth and you C9 the cart. Like, you can do that, but it's really hard for you to consistently push cart because you can't hop and bop around the cart and keep dodging while also pushing it, because you don't push cart when you're invisible. Now your EMP is decent. You get some damage on the ball as well. You keep shooting your gun. You use your E to get away from the brig, you cap the point. So all's good in the world at this point, I'd say.
I unfucked it.
You unfucked it, exactly. But you know, you probably could have capped that first point without even needing to use the EMP if you just shot your gun in the 4v2. But remember, invisible Sombras don't shoot their guns.
I think me and Tracer get silly here.
Now you're here behind, you've got a little bit of setup with your Tracer. It appears that the Torb knows, but maybe you can 2v1 him, maybe you can poke him out and make things easy enough for your team. And this is good. This is good, to be honest. Like, you started in a good position where you have some setup with your Tracer, you find an opening kill. The fact that your Zen died to a Malga, that's, maybe you spent a little bit too much time on the flank, you know? Like, this took a long time, but maybe your Zen could have walked away, too. Where is Bat Sucks? There we go. Oh, I didn't even skip that time.
If it's a nuked VOD, we've already gotten some pretty good value out of it, I think.
We'll try it again. I'm not gonna cut you off at only the hour and 6 minute mark just because the VOD crashed twice in a row. I'll try again. We'll see how we can go. But yeah, I'll give it another crack.
So in that scenario, is there a level of like, okay, I've helped the Tracer enough, they can deal with it, I should go?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more like, if you're there, you're committed to it. It was a very deep position to be committed into. The alternative would have been having more vision of where the enemy team is rotating, and maybe, like, because they made a swap over to Malga, now you're in a position where it's like, Sombra 76 is easy as. Like, in order to play Sombra 76 into the Malga, really all you've got to do is just play like a little bit off to the side of your team and keep shooting their tank and you can really mess up his value quite heavily. Alright, so I'm going to skip to like the 4 minute mark, and then I'm going to 2x it and see if it works. Alright, turn the screen share back on. So yeah, like once you're in these positions, you're committed. Like, I definitely wouldn't say that you should have abandoned your Tracer in the duel versus the Torb to come back to the team, because you're just not going to make it back to the team, really. Like, it's not happening. You know, you've committed to that side, so go and win on that side. The time when, you know, maybe there was an opportunity for you to do something different is like, it's right now. You see that they've switched tanks. You don't know what their tank is just yet, but setting up super far behind them, it's very much setting up for a kill. Like, if you watch their rotation and you see them coming up here, maybe you're just kind of chilling and playing back a little bit and playing off to the side, hacking up this mega, playing off to the side, spamming their Malga. But I think what you did is totally reasonable. Like, just trying to give you multiple ideas here, not saying that what you did with the Torb was bad at all. Like, you got a kill with what you did, you know? Like, you did your job.
Right, but it's always worth having extra options.
Of course, of course. Alright, let's see if we get through it. Let's see if we survive.
If we don't, of course not. That's okay.
Replay codes are evil.
Yeah, I heard they're not changing that until mid-season patch. I'm sure
Oh
it's terrible for
God.
you when you're trying to actually coach things too.
It's a real hassle. Like I just have to do everything from the top down pretty much because it just constantly happens. Like if you're trying to watch through a VOD, like the fact that you can't skip is incredibly annoying when you're trying to go through like constant 20-minute long VODs and you're trying to talk about one fight that happened at the 17th minute. It's really important that you have like I record like all the scrims from the top down and I do like all of the feedback from there because doing anything from POV is so difficult right now with this particular bug.
Holy cow. Yeah, I don't envy you, but
I
at least
mean,
you got the value out of the VOD up to
yeah.
that point.
I mean, hopefully it's given you some ideas for like all of the heroes that you wanted to improve on. I feel like there's been some like pretty major points across the board, like May subtle off angles, not getting too tunneled in on one idea. Like you were thinking like, oh, I need to counterwall this Sim, and then like you're missing opportunities to counterwall the Doom, and looking for more chances to be over off on the side, like drawing aggro, poking. Sim, very much a case of like you need to understand that in certain matchups you are a hard poke character. Like really, it is all just about like getting yourself a wide little angle, then using your TP much more patiently, getting yourself into a position where it's like I'm over on the side and I can just keep on poking people, or I can nuke someone in the middle of the fight. Not TPing into the middle of players, but TPing behind them next to a piece of cover, so that then you actually have that. Using the turrets like not so passively, using them more like on the objective or on chokes where they need to walk through, not stacking them on top of one another, because that's a newbie mistake. But you said you're brand new to the Sims, so that's fair enough. Stuff with the wall where like you can put the turrets on either side of the wall, or you can try and leverage it around the objective a little more. Sombra stuff very much about like not being in stealth all the time, like making sure that if you are advantaged in the fight, you no longer need to set up. You can just play main, shoot your gun, play in a little corner, keep shooting your gun, just maximize your uptime, maximize the amount of damage that you're actually doing, because if you lose your turn by going invisible, you're just making a 5v4 into a 4v4. For as long as Sombra is invisible, you're not alive, you're not in the game at all, nobody's looking at you and nobody is shooting you, and you are not shooting anyone. So really think about how downtime on Sombra matters. Like the more time you spend in stealth, the worse that you will be doing, because if you're invisible all the time, you're just not shooting your gun. And then these kind of like big picture things that you need to engage with a little bit more about when you're making these hero choices, thinking about like what heroes is my team on right now. Like Sombra is always going to be super valuable for you when you have dive tanks. If you have someone playing the Winston, the Doom, anything like that, someone that can follow up with you on the Sombra, your value on Sombra is going to go up naturally. But if you have stuff like ground tanks and the enemy team doesn't have something you can charge a beam up on Sim, then you need to have like more of a pokey style. Maybe you're on the May, maybe you're on the Sim, and just playing to poke and poke and poke and counter wall or wall good chokes and kind of take it from there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sweet.
That's I actually really appreciate it, because I was kind of I'm not good at anything in particular, but it's also because you're bad at everything, it's hard to know one thing to focus on.
I mean,
So I
it's not like you're bad at everything, Like you have skills on all of these characters. You're not like an incompetent bum in any of these games, right? Like you're at the rank that you're at. You're playing to the level of these games. It's just about growing your skill up across the board, where you deepen your understanding. And one thing that I think is super valuable for everything, like truly everything, is understanding this angle game a little bit more. Because I say that Sim is a good poke character, that May is a good poke character. DPS is all about the angle. Like if you have the same angle as your flex support, you're probably doing something wrong. Like if you're standing on the same block as your Ana or on the same block as your Zen, it's probably something wrong, because you want to be off to the side so that you create multiple problems that need to be dealt with. If the enemy team can look forward and there's 3, 4, 5 players all standing in the same position, they will just use cover, and all those 5 players can't see anything anymore. You want to be off to the side so that then cover doesn't work. Cover that works for you means that someone else gets to shoot their gun. When they take cover from your teammates, they're peeking you instead. You want to make it so that there's always this constant pressure all across the map. This is what map control in Overwatch is all about. And on DPS, it's really your job to open up the map, to take these wide positions whenever they're available to you, so that then you can be the one applying pressure around corners.
Yeah. Okay. That
Cool.
makes sense. That's actually nice, something to really focus on and hone in on. So I
For sure.
appreciate it.
All right. Well, hopefully this felt productive. Sorry that the Sombra VOD got cut a bit short by a triple DC angle, but that's something about the way the cookie crumbles.